Welcome back to Keys to the Hustle. Today's guest is a Scottish, Indonesian ultramarathon swimmer living here in Perth. He is known as Andy Donaldson, and you can find him on socials as well. He has a major focus in mental health and works alongside the Parent Institute for Youth Mental Health as well. Not only that, he swam all 7 channels from Molokai in Hawaii to Scotland to New Zealand to Rottnest Island here in Perth. He has swam it all and will be swimming again in October. So really excited to get his take on mental health and what he does to prepare for something like that. Andy, hi.
Patti, hello.
Thank you so much for carving out the time of your day to come and sit down with me.
Thank you for having me.
I think you've had an inspirational lifestyle and career with regards to the feats you've achieved and what you're going to do next. I know you've got a big swim coming. I guess what I wanted to talk to you was about is lifestyle and I guess where you are at in Perth and what you're doing with your mental health to keep hustling, so to speak. I mean, especially for charity, it's a unique facet to be leaning into. So,
shall we dive in then?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Pun not intended.
So, with regards to the depths you've gone, what was your most recent record?
So I've been fortunate enough in my swimming career to break a number of records. Some national. To the listeners here, they could probably tell my voice, my accent isn't Australian. I'm originally from the UK, so I've broken British records in swims like the English Channel, which is, probably the most well-known or iconic channel swim in the world, all the way through to world records, such as swimming the fastest time around Manhattan Island over in New York. Yes, people actually do swim around it. It's quite crazy to think about. I broke the world record in the Ocean 7, which is a compilation of the 7 toughest and most iconic channel swims in the world. I was the fastest person to do that, both in terms of time and calendar duration, where I did it in less than a year, which I'm sure we can dive into later. And then additionally, also one in your neck of the woods, or where you're originally from, which was swimming between the 2 islands of New Zealand, between the South and the North Island, which was a crazy one that ended up in a time that was actually almost as fast as the Inter-Islander ferry. So
wow.
Kiwi News was going a bit nuts with that one. But it's been a huge journey with so many ups and downs. These swims are, such incredible experiences, very tough, but, very rewarding at the same time. And, breaking records in fast times, although they're nice, they're not what it's about. It's just the growth along the way.
Yeah, and giving back to the communities you're swimming within as well. I know you don't do it just for the record itself, but more so for the communities and mental health projects you're currently in. I guess what does preparation look like for you with regards to getting involved in something like that?
In taking on an ultramarathon swimming challenge. Yeah, well, it's a lot of swimming. I'll take a bit of a step back. So an ultramarathon swim is typically something 20 to 25 kilometers and above. So, for those listening that live in Perth, we have a big one that happens here every year, the Rottnest Channel Swim, where you swim out in the open water amongst all of the elements, the crashing waves, in deep channels or across deep channels, and you're exposed to Mother Nature. And, these swims, the distance is just one aspect of it all. It's everything else that encompasses it and the mindset that's required to take on one of these challenges too. So when it comes to actually preparing for one of these things, I find it's best to actually identify the potential challenges ahead and try work backwards. In another life, I was a chartered accountant. I loved this sort of stuff here, where it's all about risk management and mitigation. And, you know, those skills came in quite handy for when I got more involved in this space. You know, yes, swims are long, so you have to, you know, there's no shortcuts around that. You have to be able to prepare your body to swim these long distances. You could be in the water for, you know, 8, 9, 10 hours at a time, maybe more. So you're putting your body through huge amounts of duress. And, you know, it doesn't matter how tough you are. Like, if you haven't prepared for it, you don't really stand, you're not setting yourself up for success.
No.
Some of these waters are, can be really cold. You know, I did a swim between Ireland and Scotland. Under traditional marathon swimming rules, you aren't allowed a wetsuit.
Oh, okay.
So, you know,
climate. Yeah, very cold.
It's cold enough in the air, never mind the water. So, you know, that's another factor to prepare for. Choppy conditions or potentially swimming through the night. You know, I've done both of those where swims have taken so much time that, you know, they go through the hours of darkness and you're out there and you can't see past the end of your fingertips because the visibility is poor. And you just don't know what's underneath you as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you prepare for sharks in any type of situation? What do they advise you to do? Punch it?
Well, I don't want to, you know, have animal organisation, animal cruelty coming after me. But, you know, it's a real risk with what you're doing. Like,
especially
you're
in Australia and that Rottnest swim, I imagine it has to be a factor.
That environment, exactly. So I will preface that when you do these swims, safety is paramount. You know, if there is ever something out there that you have an encounter with, you know, don't chance it. Like, just get out. You know, your life is worth so much more than records or times or these kind of accomplishments. But you always have a safety team out on a boat with you in these swims. You know, you don't rock up to the south of England and Dover Beach and swim across. Swim across to France, you know, across one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. You know, there's a lot of organisation that goes into it, and having a team that knows the waters well is a big part of that. And so you prepare for all of these things that you might encounter, or have a plan and strategy to adapt if you do actually meet these things during a swim. And a big part of it, you know, you can be as prepared as possible, but you also have to be mentally resilient too. You know, what happens if you encounter these things? How am I going to react or respond in the moment that I encounter adversity? And, you know, having that preparation under your belt, knowing your responses ahead of time and what you might expect or encounter, it eliminates a lot of, or it might not eliminate it, but it certainly reduces the uncertainties and the doubts going in. It means that you can enter into a challenge like that with a bit more confidence and a plan that you don't have to come up with on the spot if you find yourself in hot water or in trouble.
Yeah, or cold water.
Or in cold water as well.
No, very cool. I think in life we all need a team of support, and I guess especially in the water and when you're swimming at night, you'd need extra eyes across the sea. I guess with regards to preparing for Rottnest and I guess your other major swims you have planned, do you see a variety of culture within these challenges, or are they all Scottish and brave, or what does that look like?
It's a real interesting one. And, you know, I think events like Rottnest, all the way through to the English Channel, I'll maybe speak to the English Channel. It's perhaps the most iconic and well-known out of the channel swims around the world. And you start typically in Dover in the south of England and swim across to France. And so when I was there in 2022, I went down to Dover Harbour, which is where you're sitting and waiting for your time to go. Because unlike a traditional swimming event like Rottnest, which happens on a specific day every year, and you pretty much know down to the very minute when you're going to be starting. These other types of swims, these channel swims, don't operate like that, because you get given a window of days, and you might be going at any point in that let's say a 7-day window. So you have to manage your emotions, not get too nervous or excited too early, because that can burn energy, and sit tight and just, stay ready for getting that call up to swim. And so I would do that down in Dover Harbour, and there, there was people from all around the world swimming in that harbour, getting ready for doing the same thing that you were. People from Australia, people from Britain, from the US, from India, Brazil, Turkey. Like, it was just incredible, this melting pot of different cultures. And I think that's the beautiful thing about swimming. It's one of those life skills that I personally believe everyone should be able or have the opportunity to learn in their life, like walking and riding a bike. Especially if you live in a country where, like Australia, where
you're surrounded by water.
Just surrounded by water, and it's such a big part of the culture. I think, these are skills for life. And so, swims like ultramarathons, like I had no intention of ever doing that in my life when I grew up in Scotland. Swimming in the ocean was a bit mad to me, but it's funny that where life takes you, like it can take you down these paths you never expected. And mine took me into open water and eventually ultramarathon swimming. And so, it is a sport that, in my eyes, should be there for anyone and everyone who wants to go and find it and try it.
Beautiful. I guess you did touch on regarding not succumbing to your anxiety and things when preparing for a big swim within a 7-day window, so to speak, at Dover. What does that look like? How do you avoid being nervous about something like that? I get nervous about selling houses a lot, so maybe I can embody some of that skill.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, and I think that's where in life the mind is so important. Because you can be physically fit, you can know all your stuff, but if your mind's not there, all of that falls away. It's hugely important. And as someone that's had their mental health struggles, I've been in those positions where my mind's not been in it, and it's just things have been infinitely harder. And when it comes to preparing for something big and that you deeply care about, for me in England and in Dover, taking on the channel, like I deeply cared about it. I wanted to do well. We were raising money for mental health, and I wanted to kickstart this Ocean 7 journey with a really solid swim to really get things off the ground. But there's so much out of your control. At that same time, you don't know what the weather's going to be like. You don't know if you're going to get sick, like encounter someone that had COVID. Like, this was back when it was like rampant through Europe at that point in time. And so, having little tools and techniques that you can access, I think, can make a real big difference. So for me, focusing on the controllables and trying not to worry about what you can't. It was a great start.
Like, don't worry about sharks and just worry about.
Well, I mean, that's in the swim. And look, I think having that awareness that a risk that is a risk, and you might encounter one, like it will help.
Yeah.
And you have a protocol that's ready. Like, if this happens, we will climb out. Or if I get cold, we will make all of the drink bottles hotter and add a bit more sugar to get the body firing a bit more. Or if the boat breaks down, well, that's one that has happened to me where we didn't actually anticipate it. You know, we hadn't actually thought of it in advance. And sometimes that's going to be the case in life. You encounter things that you didn't expect, and it takes you out of your comfort zone. But if you can be doing things to grow, if you think of the comfort zone as a circle, if you can do things in advance to grow that, you know, when you encounter these things, it might take you out of the comfort zone, but at least not by as much as what would have been the case had you not done any prep before.
Yeah.
You know, so as a real estate agent, you know, if you hadn't done the prep about this house that you're trying to sell, and you rock up and people are asking you all of these questions, where's your comfort zone, and where are you going to be placed? Like, you're going to be way out of here. Like, the same goes, I think, with any challenge or thing that you care about in life. If you can focus on those controllables, do as much prep, understand what you might encounter and the challenges on the road ahead, have plans for them and prepare for them accordingly. I think, you know, that's as much as you can do. And, you know, nerves and anxious feelings, they are not a bad thing.
No.
You know,
not all the time, no.
Not all the time. Like, it's, well, firstly, the way I look at it is like, it shows that you actually care about what you're about to do. You know, if you didn't care, you probably wouldn't feel
anything.
You wouldn't feel anything, you know. So it's more, what frame of mind do you put on it? You know, do you take it in a more negative way where it's like, oh, you know, I'm nervous, I'm going to mess this up, or I'm not going to be as good, I'm going to let people down, or geez, I can feel those butterflies in my stomach. Oh, I'm excited. Like, this, I care about this deeply. I can feel the energy, but like, I'm going to give this the best I can. And anything, I can't control the outcome, but, you know, even if I don't feel my best, I can still give it my best. And I can't do anything more than that. And I think that mindset aspect of it all is so important for that.
Yeah. And I guess, is there any other words of wisdom, say, if your mind starts slipping out of the project you're currently doing, is there a way to recoup it, or is it just let it happen at its own speed?
Ooh. Well, I think having some tools at your disposal to access can really help. You know, I'll give an example. So one of the swims that I remember quite vividly was a swim called the Molokai Channel. And the Molokai Channel is...
where is that?
It's in Hawaii. And it's a stretch of water between the islands of Molokai and Oahu. And, you know, for anyone that's been there, it's right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You know, it's as remote as it gets pretty much in terms of the entire planet. You've got these rolling swells that come through there. There's no land masses to block them off, so like they're huge. Huge
waves.
Brisk winds coming through. It's deep. I think it's like 700 meters long. Deep, sorry. And in the marathon swimming world, it's considered to be one of the toughest swims in the world. To the locals, they call it Quay, which means, I think it literally translates to the channel of bones.
Oh, wow.
And so
encouraging.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just exactly what you want to know before you
jump straight into it.
Jump in and swim for 44 kilometers. So again, to the people in Perth, that's like swimming to Rottnest and back. Like, it's wild across some of the wildest ocean on the planet. Now, in that swim, I was swimming through the night, and, you know, 44 kilometers, it's a long way. I'm getting thrown about like a rag doll in the washing machine. Like, it's, the conditions were just terrible.
Crushing your bones.
Really, it got absolutely bone crushing, like wrenching, any of these superlatives that you want to describe that swim in. Like, we were, getting thrown around. I'd been vomiting for hours on end. I was feeling tired, fatigued, dizzy, disorientated. I couldn't see my team. It was so dark, and they'd forgotten their head torches so that I could just see silhouettes of people.
Yeah.
And I felt so alone out there in that swim. And I'd never been pushed as far as that in my life. And I remember getting this gut-wrenching update from one of the guys on the boat. I get updates on how I'm progressing, and the team had gone quiet for a couple of hours. And eventually they gave me this update, which was, "We're really sorry, Andy. In the last 2 hours, you've actually not really gone forwards at all. The currents are so bad that you've been swimming pretty much on the spot for the last 2 hours." And I remember just like this feeling of emotion just coming over me like a wave, like, like, I'm doing a 44-kilometer swim. I'm 8 hours deep into it.
And you're telling me I haven't moved?
And I haven't moved. I haven't moved. And I don't know how long this is going to go for. I'm tired. I'm sick. I don't know if I have the strength to keep going. And I think there's so many moments in life where we feel like that. When we're in the trenches, we're overwhelmed. We can't see the finish in sight. And we just don't know what to do.
Yeah, we're feeling like we're swimming in the same spot for 2 hours.
We feel like they're swimming in the same spot for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you just don't know when that's going to end.
Yeah, how did you recover?
And that's the question, like, how do you find a way to keep on going? Why should you keep on going? Why should you keep pushing through and putting yourself through all this pain? And so I think, for me, purpose comes into a lot there at that point in time. Why am I doing this? What is motivating me to get back on the horse and just go till the next update and just see where we go? And for me, I had a number of reasons. I remember flipping onto my back and looking up the stars and thinking to myself, all right, I'm just going to take a bit of a breather and reconnect with my why. And I thought to this challenge, why I was taking on the Ocean 7, partly was personal, trying to realize unfulfilled dreams and my potential in swimming, which I felt like I hadn't quite achieved till that point in my life. I was raising money for mental health, doing these swims and using the Ocean 7 Challenge as a platform to share powerful messages and my learnings along the way, try and inspire people that it's never too late to pursue your dreams. And I thought a lot of my family. I thought of my mum and my dad who've supported me through all these years, all the highs and lows. My older sister, my grandfather, who was one of my biggest heroes in life, and similarly to myself, had mental health struggles. And, all of these things gave me a reason to keep going forward, to just keep putting one hand in front of the other. And sometimes that's what it takes. When you're climbing Everest and you're in the trenches, you don't look to the summit. You break it down, just one foot in the other, in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. And having a support network around you as well. Yes, I might have been the only person in the water, but I had my team out there on the boat with me. They might not have physically been pushing me or anything like that, but I think Simon Sinek calls it someone to sit in the mud with you. Like, they were sitting in the mud with me, and they were going through all this this roller coaster of a swim with me as well. And, you know, we pressed on. We managed to push ourselves out of those really bad currents. It wasn't easy. It was, you know, a long, arduous slog. It took us 15 hours to get to the other side. You know, up till that point, I'd never swum more than 9 hours. So it was way, way, way out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
It wasn't a world record. Like, I'd broken a bunch of records in the lead up to that swim. I was coming into it confident.
Yeah. You're quite confident, I'd imagine. And then...
and then,
yeah. Fair
Mother Nature smacks you in the face. But, you know, that was a huge turning point in, not just in the Ocean 7, but my own life, where, you know, the struggle, yes, it was bloody damn tough, but it was also one of the most valuable experiences of my life. You know, it showed me the power of teamwork and how resilient we can be when we start working together. It showed, when your back's against the wall, just how strong and capable you are, and you might not even realize it. And again, that power of purpose and why. You know, when you have a why, you can bear almost anyhow. You will find a way forward.
Resonate with your purpose and why you're doing something. Amazing. And then having that solid support system would always be good. I'm going to use that too. Have someone to sit in the mud with you.
Have someone to sit in the mud with you. Like, they don't have to have the answers. They don't need to directly help you, but be in your corner. Think of the boxing ring.
Yeah.
You know, who's in your corner? You know, is it your family? Is it your closest friends? Your biggest cheerleaders and like supporters in life?
Yeah.
Just having them by your side in your toughest moments can make a huge difference. And, you know, I think is such a powerful message that I think is just applicable to all aspects of life.
I definitely agree. I mean, is your family based in Scotland, or are they here in Perth? Or?
They are split.
Everywhere.
Yeah, a little bit of everywhere. My dad is in Scotland. My mother's Indonesian. She's moving back there at the end of the year, which will be nice, a bit closer to here in Perth. And then I have an older sister that I'm very close with, and she also lives in Perth. So
beautiful. Yeah,
that support network, you know, that's, for me, it's such a strong foundation to live your life, you know, having that there.
Has your lifestyle kind of impacted where you've landed here in Perth, or do you see yourself living in Perth long term?
I think so, yes. It was swimming and my older sister that encouraged me to move out here. She moved here first. But I think, you know, for me as a open water swimmer, someone that's active, that loves nature and being outdoors, what we have here in Perth is just phenomenal. Yeah. We've got the most amazing beaches, great weather, people are active, and swimming in the water is so deeply ingrained into the culture and way of life here. So, you know, I think if you're happy in your surroundings, in your environment, whether that's where you live or your home, I think it is hugely underestimated. Yeah. You know, it allows you to be relaxed. It allows you to live a life that you want to lead, and lead a life that you want to live. Yeah. And, you know, probably brings you into a community of like-minded people too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the community here in Perth is very accepting of all cultures. It's a very multicultural city, I've found. And I guess that's a huge compliment from someone who's been on so many beaches to say that we've got some of the best.
I think so, yeah. I mean, you don't know until you go away and experience them yourself, but what we have here in Perth, that's pretty hard to beat.
Well, I guess you've probably already answered the question with which channel would have been the hardest. So I presume it was Molokai, did you say?
Molokai, well remembered. Yeah. Channel of Bones.
Yeah, the Channel of Bones. That's going to be hard to forget. Does your team transition each time you do a swim, or do they stay the same?
It changes. So you have your core team I have my core team back here in Perth, which is like my coach, my strength and conditioning coach as well, physio, that sort of thing. But when you travel to do swims, you typically want to work with the people that know the waters well.
Yeah.
You know, they've been out and sailed those seas many, many times and know it like the back of their hands. They know all the nooks and crannies and where to take you as a swimmer, because, you know, although at face value, ultramarathon swimming can seem like a solo sport, it's the furthest thing from that. You know, I'm, yes, the one that's out in the water swimming, but you've got someone that's in charge of navigation, the skipper. You know, I'm down low in the water. I can't see really where I'm going. But if you have the skipper that's in the boat, he's got the GPS, he knows the waters, he knows where to take you. You know, that's a really important person as part of your team. You have a handler who keeps you physically fed, you know, just like a running marathon, like you need to keep hydrated and fueled. So he's passing me drinks every 20 minutes and, you know, providing these important updates. He was the one that provided the bad news.
Yeah, they were probably
Molokai.
spending that hour deciding who's going to tell you.
Who's going to tell him it is? But that's it. Like, it's such an important role, and the psychology of it, when to give these updates, how to break the bad news, or, you know, if you don't at all, like that sort of thing. But having all these different roles and responsibilities, having them defined in advance so that everyone can just focus on what
they're there to do.
They're there to do. Like, it just makes the machine run so much smoother. It's, you know, it's why we have companies and corporations, why people work together so that they can, what's the saying? The sum of all parts is greater than the individuals or whatnot.
Yeah.
Butchered that saying. But,
no, you're all right. If it comes back to you, let me know.
Along those lines. But, you know, I think when people go through life, they look at it in such a solo frame that they're
Tunnel
there
vision.
On their own, but it doesn't need to be like that. You can have a support team around you. In fact, you probably will go further
with a team than
with the
trying
right
to
people
swim the
around
current
you
alone.
than trying to do it alone. You know, one phrase that I will get right is, you know, it takes many hands to weave a sail, or, you know, to run fast, go alone, to run further, go together. Like, there's all these analogies around teamwork and the importance of it. And I think it's just such an important message to really drill down. And that it's also okay to ask for help. You know, I think we get it in our heads that, you know, you have to do this alone, and you know, it's a sign of weakness if you
ask for help.
Ask for help. I've been there myself. Like, I was doing a swim, you know, the swim from Ireland to Scotland. That's what happened there. Like, I got 3 hours into this 34-kilometer swim. The water temperature was, I think, 13 degrees. So,
yeah, not warm.
You would know, being from New Zealand, but, you know, to the people listening here from Perth, if you jumped into the Swan River in the middle of winter, it's probably 15 or 16 degrees maybe. So, like, think of even colder. Like, you're approaching ice bath levels, and you have to do that for 34 kilometers or swim in there for 9 hours. I was in there for 3 hours, and already my mind was starting to spiral. I was like, Jesus, this is cold. Or you know, you try not use the C word. You know, you try to use these, you know, put all these different reframes on it. You know, oh, I'm feeling fresh. Pretend that you're in Jamaica or something like that. But, you know, I had all these go-to tools, like, you know, the positive self-talk or visualization, pretending that you're swimming in the Caribbean, or, you know, deep breathing.
I imagine that would be hard to do in such cold climates, to pretend like you're in the Caribbean.
Jesus, none of it was working.
Yeah.
And I was spiraling. My head was just like, it was like a dam wall's just starting to break, and like cracks are starting to develop, and the water's spouting through. And I was thinking to myself, I've got to toughen up. I've got to do this myself. Like, keep pulling on all these levers. You've got these tools, but in some situations, they're just not working.
No.
And I remembered at that point in time, I was swimming along 3 hours in, and I breathed up to the side. I saw my team. I was like, oh, geez, yeah, I better let them know how I'm feeling. So I'm swimming in between breaths. I'm shouting up to Jay Prashal, my handler, and I'm like, Jay, arms are heavy, feeling fresh.
Yeah.
But energy's good.
Yeah.
And he laughed. He was like, oh, God.
Yep.
And, I'm wearing my earplugs. So he whips out his whiteboard and he just writes down a simple message that was along the lines of, message received, don't worry, warmer feeds are coming, warmer drinks are coming. Remember, we're with you.
Mm.
And it was just something as simple as that I remember seeing and thinking to myself, like, God, I'm not out here alone. I've got my team. And I remember this weight coming off my shoulders and a feeling of hope kind of coming back into my body and into my heart. And, from there, we changed our nutrition strategy. We heated up the drinks. We made them more frequent, added a bit more sugar, which I paid the price for later. But, that wasn't the point. But
your team was attentive enough to be able to put those in place as well.
We had these plans in place for if this happened beforehand. So they were just executing these fail-safes that, if this happens, do this. And it brought us back from the edge. Like I was able to pick up speed. I got faster. I felt warmer. I felt more confident and alive. And from this position of being in, real dire straits and in an absolute hole, I came racing back and managed to complete this swim across to Scotland in a time that was just 4 minutes shy of breaking the world record for fastest time. It was 9 hours and 11 minutes. And I remember finishing and sitting on the rocks and, at that point, the time just didn't matter. Like, yes, it would have been nice to have broken a world record, but
you still did it. Yeah.
We had succeeded when, our backs were against the wall, and we'd done that together as a team. And so that was a far more valuable experience than had I gone there, everything went to plan, and I broke another world record. Like I wouldn't have learned much at all.
Yeah.
And so I think when people experience hardship and adversity, it is very difficult in that moment. But that's what's going to make you stronger moving ahead. There's a fantastic saying, smooth seas never made a skilled sailor.
Yeah.
And I think that's in life. If you could find ways to get through those tough moments. And quite often for me, having that, being able to lean on that support network around you, like it's going to set you up for the long run.
Now I totally understand why the Parent Institute have you as their advocate for, youth mental health. Because that's where I met you, and I immediately resonated with your goal with targeting mental health. I mean, especially in today's youth, it's a bit shaky. Yeah.
We live in a bit of a crazy world at the moment, when people can hide behind keyboards and send whatever they want to send to other people on the other side of the planet. When society pushes all these expectations on kids and adults alike, and more people are feeling like they're not good enough, or that their life's not where it ought to be because they're comparing themselves to the highlights that everyone else is sharing of their life. Like
the internet's a dangerous place at the moment.
It's a tough place, and it's a tough time, and
it can set expectations almost too high, and then they get stuck in that downward spiral mentally.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think as someone that's had their mental health struggles, I went through periods of life where I felt like a bit of a failure, that life wasn't panning out how I expected it to be or hoped it would be. I'd let people down. it is tough. And, I think for anyone listening that is in that position right now, like, know that you aren't alone. That other people are perhaps in the same place or going through the same things, and it's okay. You people are out there that can help, and don't be afraid to stick your hand up and say that you're struggling. And so, yeah, mental health has always been something I've been very driven to try support. It's what wound me up, led me to working with the Parent Institute, where we've done swim challenges to shine a light on that as a message, and all of the incredible work they do in terms of mental health research, particularly around kids, because I think it is an issue that anyone can
run into. Doesn't really matter how old you are. You can still run into mental health issues at 60.
It's not, it doesn't discriminate anybody. It can happen to anyone, and it's an issue that I think we need to better understand in order to come up with the right solutions. I'm a big believer that, obviously treatment has its place, especially for people that are experiencing hardship and mental health struggles right now, but better understanding the problem so that we can prevent it. I would love to see a world one day where, it's education around mental health and things like emotional intelligence, equipping people with the tools to navigate life's challenges. Like, I'd love to see a world where that's brought into the education system, where it's mandatory and everyone is able to be prepared for the storms of life.
Yeah, or at least able to recognize when the
when
spiral's coming.
When they need help and need to stick their hand up.
Yeah.
I think there's so many beautiful analogies and parallels between ultramarathon swimming and just life in general.
Life definitely is an ultra marathon.
Life, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's got so many ups and downs.
A bone crusher, if you would say.
It's a bone. Hopefully not for the majority of it, but I think like we were talking about, I think you do need to get tested in order to develop. It's like building muscles. You've got to break it down to make them stronger.
Yeah, and what helps is obviously having a purpose and having a why. And if you don't have one, I guess it's just thinking about what you're passionate about and what you can dive into confidently.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the beautiful thing is it's unique to every single person. Their why, what motivates them. For me, getting messages and helping others, getting messages out there and helping others is a big driver for me. For someone else, it might be, their children, making sure that they are looked after, supported, and able to pursue their dreams. It could be someone.
It's definitely my why.
Yeah, I think it would be for a lot of people. And let's say, touch wood, obviously hope this never happens, but say if one of your kids ever got sick and you were running a marathon for them, I can tell you now, you would run through walls to.
Yeah, it's a different burn.
It's a different burn, like you just find this place that this extra gear that you didn't really know that you had. And you know that nothing is going to stop you because there's something bigger at play. Yeah. And that, I think we all have those motivators if we choose to look and find them. And I think write them down. What's important to you? What are your values? I think that's a really good exercise to do if you have never done it before. Like a business would have their values written down. I was once encouraged, and I have done since, to write down my personal values, what matters to me, what is so important in my life that I'm going to shape what I do in order to, support these things
And what
and
was
make my decisions in accordance with them.
Yeah, I understand. I guess what was the pivoting point between accounting? You were doing accounting before,
Mhm.
and then you moved from that into swimming. What was the pivoting point? Yeah.
Well, it was it wasn't a decision that just happened overnight. It was knee
No,
jerk.
imagine not.
So anyone that is an
I just
accountant
picture,
listening and
and then you're like, you
maybe
know what?
don't do what I do. No, to provide a bit of background, and I'll try to condense my story into a fairly manageable chunk. I'd grown up as a competitive swimmer with aspirations to race for my country, race at the Olympic Games, all these
Yeah.
things, and ultimately I fell short of them. I'd spent years and years and years pursuing those dreams, and it was quite difficult to step away from it. But I think in my mid-20s, society tells you to be at a certain point in your life, and
Yeah.
working, saving up for a house, finding a partner, all these things, and I felt that I should give that a go.
Mm.
And so I threw myself into my accounting career. That's what I'd studied. I'd always played second fiddle to swimming, so I wanted to really knuckle down, and I did my professional studies. I became a financial plan. I did my financial planning as well. I was kind of burning the candle at both ends for a good number of years and progressing well. But I knew that something in me didn't feel fulfilled. I'd grown up always very people-centric and wanting to use my skills to help others.
Mm.
And in my role where I was, like I was, but it didn't set my heart on fire. And, the people I was helping were the people that could afford the accounting fees and
Yeah.
maybe
A different type of help, if you will.
a different type of help.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I didn't jump into this decision lightly to leave that path, and didn't get back into swimming straight away, but it was always at the back of my mind, and COVID was really the big reset.
Mm.
I think not just for me, but for everyone.
Yeah.
And that was where I found myself getting back into swimming. I'd been on this 4-year hiatus from the sport, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with it, being
Beautiful.
in the water, out in the elements, having this connection to nature, time alone with my own thoughts, being active, getting the endorphins, being able to meet with community as well.
Yeah.
That's what got me back into the sport. And, again, wasn't straight into doing these ultra marathon swims, but
Yeah.
eventually that's
Stepping stones.
where it led to. And, the Rottnest Channel swim was a big part of that journey. I targeted that, did really well, and recognized that I could perhaps combine purpose with sport and pursue my sporting goals, but tie purpose into it as well, with using sport as a platform to
Help the community.
help others and raise funds for causes close to my heart, and share powerful messages around hope and the importance of teamwork, that it's never too late to pursue your dreams, all these different things. And I think in today's world where, you have all these eccentric billionaires taking up a lot of the oxygen in the room and occupying a lot of media space, I think we need a little bit of positivity right now. And I think sport has its part to play in terms of advocacy, sharing these right messages, shining a spotlight on the work of incredible organizations like the Parent Institute and Telethon, and giving people hope.
Yeah. You're really, really good at delivering that message, I think. So keep going, Andy. I think your purpose is still being fulfilled.
It's
Yeah.
like you said, it's a marathon, not a
Yeah.
sprint. You know? I think everyone's just going through life as best as they can, and you know, like I did in Molokai, it's just one arm in front of the other, one arm in front of the other, and you adjust route every now and again, but you hopefully are going in a direction that you're comfortable with.
Seasonal depression.
See, sad. Are you feeling sad right now?
Well, I feel like the last 2 weeks, yes. And then this week, I don't know if it's just because there's been more sun, but a little bit more positive this week.
Did you find that growing up in New Zealand, and then coming and living here where there's a lot more sun?
Yeah. I mean,
Have you felt that that's impacted your well-being?
I think so. I mean, the sun and vitamin D alone, it was like an overdose coming here from New Zealand.
I imagine Scotland, you know, it's like, I hear you.
Oh gosh, and I do think it made a difference. I feel like a lot more motivated, even when I'm going back there and then returning.
Motivated, energetic.
Yeah,
your mood's better.
Yeah, the sun and the weather, I think, plays a huge part in mental health, considering we're, I don't know, mostly water.
I love where I'm from, you know, but I just can't deal with the weather because you'd be waking up and you'd be going to school in the dark. You'd be coming home from school and it'd be dark.
Yeah, which is not fun.
It's
not motivating.
So difficult. Your motivation goes so.
Yeah. Do you find a dip in winter time when it's cloudy and stuff in your mental health as well? Though you probably, I understand you've got a lot of tools and having a support system is important.
I think there's always. I think it's hard to aim to be happy all the time. I know that's contrary to what everyone will say, but I think it's always going to have ups and downs. Your mood's never going to be up here, otherwise that just becomes the average.
Yeah.
But it's been comfortable feeling down here and,
like
and knowing that like waves, it will come. It'll rise and fall with the ebbs and flow. And having those tools to access as part of your mental health toolbox, I think is really important too. That, all right, if I'm struggling, I'm going to go and do this thing that always makes me really happy. So
I'll be coming to watch you swim this year. Where will that be?
So... Well, firstly, thank you. We've got this really exciting...
Now the real pressure's on.
Exactly. I don't know if I have the tools for that. We've got this really exciting swim that happens on Telethon Sunday. And it's from Rottnest Island back to the mainland, up the river, and finishing at Elizabeth Quay. Yeah. And so we've run this for the last 2 years with the Parent Institute, with their incredible support. And it's a 20-kilometre swim to Leighton Beach from Rottnest. Yeah, wow. Then a run over the land to Mosman Bay, where I get back in the water and swim up the Swan River, finishing in the heart of Perth. Yeah, wow. I've been very fortunate in previous years that in that run section, I've been very fortunate in previous years that there's been such incredible support for it. When we get to Leighton Beach, the atmosphere is just incredible with the Fremantle Surf Lifesaving Club. They have all their nippers out. They've made guards of honour for me to run up when I hit the sands there. And, we've been very fortunate to get Roger Cook, the Premier, and footy legend Dave Munday down to the beach as well. Nice. And for that run section, they accompany on that as well before I take off and swim up the next section.
Roger Cook's going to be running with you?
And I think he's locked in. No. I think he's locked in.
Pressure's on,
Roger, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, please.
But no, this year I'll be joined by another Perth swimmer, Josie Page.
Oh, beautiful.
Which I think is going to be really amazing. Josie's an OT. She's, works with kids as well. Yeah, beautiful. So tying that in with Telethon I think is phenomenal. I think it's a Telethon supported organisation that she works for. So, you know, and she's done some amazing swims around the world, like winning the Port to Pub and Rottnest Channel Swim in Manhattan Island. So she comes, you know, with a lot of pedigree as well.
Yeah, having some friendly competition might make you swim a little faster too.
I think as well. I hope that she doesn't just leave me in the dust.
Yeah, she might just take off.
No, I think the idea would be swimming side by side and showing unity. Yeah. Because, you know, issues like mental health, they can only be addressed when we work together. Yeah. I think there's a beautiful message and symbolism with that, and working hand in hand and going through this journey by each other's side. And I know that Josie's an incredible person too, and she's going to really connect with the people following along and no doubt inspire a lot of people along the way.
I have no doubt that's exactly what you'll both do. How long is the run from the first swim to the second swim?
The run is 3.5 kilometers.
Okay, fun.
Which for me is not fun.
I will be watching you
I'm
gladly.
a one-trick pony. Take me out of the water, and I am a literal fish out of water. Yeah. But you know, it's for an incredible cause, and
I'll bring the whiteboard to say you can do it.
Bring the whiteboard. Yeah. Keep me motivated and in the game.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully we make progress.
Yeah. I have no doubt.
But no, it's going to be amazing.
When's that happening? Oh, Telethon Sunday. What date does that fall on?
So it's on Telethon Sunday, which is the 19th of October.
Beautiful.
And yeah, it should be an incredible day. I think we set off at around 6 a.m, aim to finish for around 3 p.m. So it should be televised, and you know, there'll be a lot of updates throughout the day as we go on through the swim.
Okay, Andy, so I'll get you to sign us off, please, and let our audience know where they can find you on socials. And thank you for letting us know where we can see you swim in October.
Okay, wonderful. Guys, thanks for listening along to today's podcast. If you want to follow what I do or this swim for Telethon in October, you can do so at my Instagram handle, andy.swimming, or on Facebook, which is Andy Donaldson Swimmer. And on the day, we are going to be swimming from Rottnest to Leighton Beach. So you can come down to Leighton at around 10 a.m. in the morning. We'll be coming out of the water there. Fingers crossed if all goes to plan. Or at Elizabeth Quay for around 3 p.m. So yeah, thank you again for listening. Hope to see you down at the water's edge. And yeah, thank you, Patti, for having me on here.
Most welcome.